Okay, after I shot this video, I realized how convoluted and difficult it was to cut the wing the way I was doing it before, so I made a little jig with 2 attachments, and basically you can slide on one of the attachments. This one you want to slide all the way down until it hits the stops, and then you can place it, get this notch in here and place it on the wing, line it up real good, and then you can trace out where we need to cut. So what we want to do is trace this front part right here. Make sure this is nicely lined up. Just give ourselves a nice, let's use this pencil. And this will give us a nice line to cut. It should be nicely lined up. Looks good. And we'll take off the other side. Put on this one. And this one with the tab going in like this, you want to line up on the outside of the bars instead of pushing them all the way down. Oops. Okay. And line it up again. And again, trace the same. We're going to trace everything on this side. And there. Now we've got a nice lined up place where we can cut this out, and it should fit right in. All right. And we're gonna do my best to hold it straight up and down. Put it right on the line. And start cutting. I like to make a couple cuts. Instead of trying to cut it through all at once. Alright. And it's fairly close. So we'll set this aside for now. And now the next thing we're going to want to do is take one of the upgraded 3D parts, and we want the part that looks like that. It should fit over. It's got the small hole that fits the rod. And then we'll put this in here. Put this over. And make sure we got the right side because there's, you know, a light right and left of this. And so what we need to do is mark this off. And basically we need to cut this out so that this can fit into here. So use this to give us some starting marks. And then we can mark off the rest of it. Now I like to cut a little bit inboard of the lines I drew just to give myself some. You could always cut it off more. It's hard to add material, of course. So we'll cut through that. Yeah, that's good. And these knives. Grab a new blade. Again, it's helpful if you use a nice sharp blade. And we're just going to cut straight through and down. Leave some excess. This up a little bit. Let's see how this fits. And then we got to cut out a little pocket for the servo connector here. Just press that in. And you can have a little mark there. And just cut it out real quick. Grab some pliers, some needle nose, and you can rip out a little pocket here. Go just a little bit deeper. So we'll clean this up a bit. Alright, that looks really good. A little bit of a gap there, but that's okay. We'll fill it in with some hot glue. Clean up. Then cut this down. And there, that looks good. So, set this aside. The next thing we need to do is get our servos in here. And servos I got are a little bit bigger than the pocket we got, so we need to open this up a little bit. I'm kind of leave an indentation. And come in, open it up a little bit. Use pliers to get this stuff off of there. And then cut off a little bit more. Alright, and then let's put a servo arm on here just for now. Let's see how this is going to work. I'm going to have to cut off a little bit there. And okay, so the the control horns are going to go in here, and you want to make sure that the horns are lined up with each other. So it looks like we need to move this down to here to get this to line up properly. It's hopefully in. So what we'll do is indent a little mark there and come in and cut a new hole for this. Alright. Well, this is sitting in here. Let's make sure this is going to all fit. Yep. I'll cut this a little bit. And this will run down here and connect to a slip connection right here. We're going to want to do the same thing to this end. So, of course, this time we know it's going to have to be moved down a little bit. We'll just put these in temporarily and we'll glue them in later. Line that up and just make a indentation. Get these to fit. All right, clean up here. And that will fit in just like that. Oh, just like that. Let's clean this up a little bit. Not fitting real good. Let's clean this one up a little bit more. All right. Now, let's make sure that this side is going to clean up and fit. So I'll push that down for now. Okay. So the next thing we need to do is solder or run length of wire for this outside servo. I'm just going to solder this up. You can use a regular connector as well. I'm going to solder this up so that it reaches all the way down to the end. Down here. And I'll be back. Okay, so first thing we need to do here, get the final wing assembly done, is hot glue in some servos. I like to score these a little bit so that the hot glue has something to grab to. Make sure you have a nice hot glue gun. Let's see, we're going to put it in just like that. So, put a bunch in there. Over on the sides. I like to put it on the foam because the foam insulates a lot more. So it won't cool it nearly as quick as the servo itself will. Clean up a little bit of extra there. Now we can take and run this down here, and I'll cut a little bit of a notch. Let this can go through there. So what we'll do is give it a little bit of squirt. Put it in there. And down some. And then we'll squirt. Just give it a nice little tack. And get this end. And of course, we've got the long servo lead. Same thing. Bring them out this way, so rough this up a little bit. Be careful not to cut yourself. Now, make sure we know which way this is going all the time. And then give it a nice coat. And squish it. Grab some of the excess here. All right. That should be real good. And then we'll do the same thing. Put it in there. Take it down. So I don't cut myself. this one here, we need to make sure we're passing it through or by this servo. Slide this in real quick. Need to make sure we're going around the servo like so. You can kind of use this as a guide. And then it's going to go out here. So let's give this a quick tack. Now, make sure this fits in there good. And the wire. Get a little bit of room right here. Just cut this part out. Make sure it all is going to lay down nice and flat. Now, turn that just a little bit. Don't worry about it. Hot glue for now. Make sure that's all going to fit good. That looks really nice. Now, this is what I'm going to use to glue in the spar and the spar channel cover. So, first thing we're going to want to do is take the rod and with some nice gritty sandpaper, just give it a quick scuffing, just so it's got to roughen up the finish a little bit, so it's got the glue has something to fit onto. So now it is time to glue in the wing spar and the spar cap. We're going to be using this foam tack glue. Works pretty good in my experience. So, first thing we're going to do is lay a bead right down the center. Let's open up this little bit here. Oh. Get this up. Lay a fairly nice bead down the middle. I'm going to take this sit it in there and let's roll it around a little bit. Put that all over. Now you take and put a nice bead down here, and then one down the side, and another bead of glue down here. Make sure you don't get any on the servo. And then we'll do a bead down the side here. Let's get the end real quick. And then we'll add a little bit on top here just to make sure we got plenty. All right. Now, take and press in the top. I like to give it a I've only got some thin CA, so I'll have to do for now. We can use this to, along with some kicker, to kind of tack it in a little bit. Just a little bit. And kick it. And this way we can help to tack this down without putting any sort of twist in it. Alright. And then, before we let it sit though, we'll take some packaging tape. All right, and so we'll let this cure for 24 hours. We'll see what we have when we're done. Okay, so for today we're going to be working on attaching these wing stubs to the fuselage and getting the center spar section in and all that good stuff. So first thing we need to do, already done it with this wing section, is take and cut out any notches you need for anything, your motor wires or whatever you got going on back here. This is a collective pitch prop that I'll be testing out here, and I wanted to get this flying, so make sure this fits in there nicely, like so. And then we're going to do the same thing with this other side. So just put it up here, kind of check it and see where we need to carve out to make it fit. Take a nice sharp razor blade. I'm just going to kind of make some indentations. Give us an idea where to cut. Take a pair of pliers and kind of rip it out where you need to. I'm just going to cut this whole section off here. It's still fitting here, so just trim more of this off. I need to make this deeper. make some room for this nut back here. I'm getting closer. Got some motor wires in the way here, so we do need to tweak a little notch for that. Let's do this. Pretty close. And there we go. And it goes in all the way. Well, just about. Let's make this a little bit deeper here. There we go. That's looking pretty good. All right. All right. So next thing we need to do here, set this to the side. Is we need to basically fit fit this in here, just like we did on the half of the wing. We're going to try to countersink this in so that it's all flat here. So this is the, I still need to cut this down, but this is the, I think it's 11 millimeter rod. The tube for the 11 millimeter for the center main spar section, and this is one of the 3D printed parts for it. We'll just slide this on the end here, and we'll use the trough end for the original spar. I'll just kind of line it up and push it in a little bit so it gives us some indentations to go off of. And then we can start cutting. Let's work this off first. Another thing we're going to need to do is widen this a little bit, because this was the original spar channel, which is 9 millimeter. So we need to make room for this 11 millimeter. bigger rod fit in here, like so. So we'll just take this and score it on one side. Score it along the other. Take our knife or pliers, take this out a little bit. Same on the other side. Just want to move as little as possible to make sure it's still going to fit. And let's see. What we'll do is just cut into this just a little bit. Use this to scrape out the bottom part a little bit. Let's see how this is fitting. And it still needs more room on the bottom. So let's just take and score this a little bit. Just to help kind of break it up a little bit. Carefully start digging it out. Now let's see how that's working. Oh, that's looking a lot better. Alright. This is going to go in like that. So you need to, let me give the same treatment to this real quick. Be careful not to poke through or pull too much out here. We can see how it spits on there. Getting closer, but needs a bit more. Well, that's actually not bad at all right there. Fits in there nicely, and then this is going to get cut out. Alright. So we do the same thing to this one. Pretty good. Up. We've got this other side here to do. There we go. That's looking pretty good. All right. So let's finish this off here. Make sure we got the right side. The correct side, I should say. Now, this in a little deeper again. Closer. Definitely need to trim off a little bit here. There we go. Now we can check this real quick. Straight edge. And that's looking pretty good. Okay, now I've got the other side to do. We've got And if you make any mistakes, don't worry too much. You can always glue it back together. Or put in some filler if you need to. There we go. That's looking a lot better. This up a little bit. Pretty good. I have to fill in a little bit here. Looks like I got a little too much, but that's okay. And then just press that in there. Give us a line to cut on. Now it'll be all good. And we can pass the servo wire right through here. And we'll cover this up with some laminating material when we're done. So, let's see what little chunks get me done. Boom. Okay. So now next thing we're going to do is I'm going to chop this down to the correct length and then start gluing it into the fuselage. Okay, so what we need to do now is I've roughed this up a little bit, some sandpaper. I need to glue this, center this here and glue it in. So let's grab some of this. And I'm just gonna put a little bit on here and smooth it around. Now, set this aside. I want to center this up. So I've got 12 inches long, and this section here is 2 inches long. So I'll just use my mat here to center it up real quick. That looks good. Grab some paper towel just to clean this up real quick. Stuff already cured. When it gets, stuff cures really fast when it gets thin. All right. Oh, this is going to slip in here. We need to tighten this screw down. tighten that down real good. Now it's not going to move. Be sure to get the cap back on this because this stuff dries out real quick. Okay, so next we're going to glue these in. But I'm forgetting a step here. Because we need to put this, give this spar a hole to go through real quick. Okay, so what we need to do is this spar is going to go about here. What we need to do is create a hole through here for it. So what I like to do is take one of the 3mm rods and just very carefully kind of poke it through. You kind of use your fingers to feel. You can kind of see through it too if you look closely, and it lets some light through it. You can kind of guide it down through, making sure you're not breaking the surface like I just did there. And just cram it through. And you want to kind of do this a couple times here. Get the path straight. We'll start it on this end and hopefully get somewhere in the middle here. There we go. Got where we wanted to go, and that's where we needed to start. Okay. So now, let's kind of work this a little bit here. To give us a little bit of room. Now we can start working this big one through. Come back to the other side. All right. And we'll do that with the other side. Oops. Put it up there. And start poking through. Up. Start poking through on this side. And hopefully kind of meet in the middle here. There we go. It does look a little off. Let's try to kind of poke up here a little bit. There. So now the next thing we got to do is poke a hole for this through this fiberglass laminate here. I'm going to poke a hole through that. What we'll do, this through. And we can mark right about where it's going to be. Let's use it X-Acto to cut a hole in this real quick. Doesn't need to be too precise. Now that should allow us to slip this through here. Okay. So now we got our basic setup. Oops, wrong part. So that's going to slip in there. And that's going to go in there. And that's looking pretty good. Gonna have to turn this up a little bit, I guess. All right. So now what we need to do is run our servo wire through this wing stubs. Remember, we have 2 servos per wing, so I need 2 wires on each side. So I got this stuff, and I'm going to make sure that's long enough that it's going to stick out here a little bit. And then long enough so you can access it down here. Just for reference, this is about 14 inches long. And, okay, let's cut this in half. Cut this one in half. Okay, so now our next step is going to be to glue in these wing stubs. And I cut myself a couple, 4 pieces of wire, 2 for each side for the servos. So you need to make sure to run these first. And what we'll do is right here, we'll just cut a little hole to have those go through. Actually, never mind. We want to cut it back here. so that the servo leads can go through there real quick. So just take our knife and just cut a quick hole there, and then we can slide our servo wires down in there, and I cut them long enough so that they will be able to fit out the front here to a workable length, like so. And then, so just like on the wings, we got the little channel here to where the servo wire is going to go in right there. Wrong side. I'll just fit this in to make sure everything fits. Pull this one through a little bit, make sure we got enough room. Don't need a whole lot of room over here because we're going to solder in the connectors. So let's go ahead and glue this up. I'm going to use some medium CA. And we will, what I'm going to do is just apply some around give it a quick shove so it doesn't cure like while you're trying to put it in. And that looks good. Then we can turn it on its side here, and we need to glue in this piece. Just make sure it's going to fit good. Now, I think what I'll do is turn it completely upside down. We want to make sure that we can get the wires where they need to go and slide that right in like that. So, put a little glue down here. And this is CA, by the way. Stick a little bit here. A lot there. Shove it in nice and quick. And then we'll hit it with a little bit of kicker. Yeah, the kicker. Okay. Now we can do the other side, same way. We already got a hole cut out on the side for the wires, it looks like. We'll just slide these up. Make sure it all fits. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Doesn't need a ton of glue, just enough to hold it. We'll make sure our wires aren't getting in the wrong place here. There we go. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on this side. Be careful not to spill our CA. And make sure this fits. All good. We'll do the same thing. So, yeah, we use a little bit of kicker. Pull this out a little bit. Make sure we got enough room to solder this in. This should be good. And then we can Okay, here you want to solder up these connectors like I've got it on the illustration. I put the positive leads on top, negative on bottom, and the two servo leads to the sides. Okay, so what we need to do now is glue this in so it doesn't pull out when we go to pull it out. So
the second place I was interested in is the finish system. This is the one that we flipped upside down and moved into the forward enclosure. This section eroded even less than the nozzle section.
So let's get some CA.
There's a lot of fire. There's not a lot of flow stripping away. Erosion seems to be less than 0.1 inches, and there was a small char layer hanging on various parts.
Throw a bunch on here.
See the geometry of the finish inside the liner by looking at which sections are most burned and most eroded. Overall, if I were going to generalize this, burning at about 500-600 psi, we seem to form about a 2 millimeter char layer, about 8.1 inches of total erosion. Worst case scenario, this means I'd be very comfortable with a 1/4 inch liner down the road. Switch to bigger filters. That's it. Objective 4 complete. We're done.
That is not the cap.
I say this in a lot of projects, but this is one of the hardest projects I've done. For all of the shenanigans between attempt 1 and attempt 2, I got a ton of good experience doing this project.
Now we're just going to stick a little bit of hot glue on the back here.
And if you can believe it, it is a little bit less than half the size of
Push
one
this
station,
in so
of
that
which we need two.
hold
You
it
can
so
go
it
to space with
stays.
less impulse, but you can't go the way that I want to go. I'm trying to bring cameras, payloads, a guidance system, all sorts of stuff above the Garmin line. So we need a lot of impulse. Completing Simplex
All right.
V2 sets me up pretty well. So
Let's wipe this off.
full Q class rocket. That motor has its own set.
I need to glue this connector in with the hot glue so it doesn't pull out. Just like we did the other one. We can unplug this. Let this cool down. Get this excess glue off before it dries, or cools, I should say. Don't want any glue getting inside the ways here so that it doesn't jam up, basically. And we need to stick some glue in here. So pull this out a little bit. Oh wait, I already glued it in. I'll just stick some extra glue in the seam here. Throw some kicker on it. That's not great. I'm gonna have to fill that in. Probably. Let's see how it lines up. Looks pretty good. Well, this is a little bit screwed up. Alright, so let that dry right there. Don't want this tuck here on there. Push this through. Get that back where it was. Oh shoot, got a little bit of glue on there. Alright, so to keep this nice and tight, stick a little glue here, a little there, kick it, and that should hold everything in place. We'll let this dry. Getting pretty close to completing this beast.